Good afternoon, everyone. It's Andy here. Apologies for the slight delay. I wanted to do this as a live test training session, so I wanted to use a real property that I'm going to add into the system into one of our new clients. So I was just getting some last things ready. I hope you're all okay. If you just want to say hello in the chat window, so I can see. I'm going to move this across, save me looking over there. So yeah, if you can just say hello into the chat window, make sure that you can hear me okay, you can see me okay. For those that are doing their first training session, you're not on video. Also, you're muted as well, so we're not picking up any distractions from your side. If you would like to ask a question, please have a look at the webinar meeting bar where you'll be able to see a Q&A button. Which you can then ask me any questions as I'm going through. If you'd like me to repeat something or you're not quite sure how that works, put a question in and we will address that. From my side, I've got Jonathan, our customer success manager, working alongside me. So he'll be answering the questions and he'll be answering any chat messages that you put in. A couple of things just to go through in regards to the updates that we're doing with iPro at the moment. So there are many changes within the system and we try and release a new release every month actually. And for kind of general release, that would be every quarter. It means that you will be on slightly different versions to the latest release. If that is the case, and you're missing something that I go through today, please raise a ticket with support and we'll get you scheduled for the next update. The majority of the updates will be included within your subscription. However, some of the items may be a chargeable fee based on your subscription and license that you're currently on, but we'll let you know during the time, when you contact us. I think most of the things today, pretty sure 9 times out of 10, if not 100% of the time, everything is included within all versions of all licenses of iPro. So the other thing to just be aware of with our CMS, because we're going to be working in the CMS today, if there's things in there that you want tidied up, that would be a support ticket. We can just move things around. You may find that some of the fields on your version are in a slightly different order to the version that I'm going to use today. So if you do find that and you want it tidied up, just let us know. And we can get that organized for you. Okay, so I think everyone is good. It's coming through clearly. So today's agenda, we're going to go through the basics of adding a new property to iPro. So creating and editing a property listing. We will be looking at the amenities as well, how you can customize your own amenities per each property. And we'll be looking at how we get it set up, ready to connect to the channels. And then tomorrow we're going to go into the pricing structure and some of the advanced features that you can utilize within the property listing. This is following on from the last 2 sessions where we set up all the basic rules within iPro and we set up all the kind of the settings within, so the extras that you're going to use, the sources and so on and so forth. Okay, if there's no questions to begin with, we're going to dive straight into the system. And I'm just going to show you, we are importing this particular property. I'm doing this manually, just so that you can see, because of course in your day-to-day, iPro is going to be the first place that you upload your property to. You will not upload it to a channel or to your website. You should always upload it to iPro first of all. So that is that's the key thing to start with. And if you find yourself in the booking system, to get into the CMS, you click on this little button in the top bar and you click update website. Now, depending on who's on the trading session, some people will not have access to the CMS. It will be locked down on their user permissions, which was one of the first sessions that we went through. If that's the case, you'll need to get your user permissions upgraded by your manager, or if you are the manager, then you'll need to get it upgraded by support, and we'll get you set up correctly on your user permissions. So once you come into the CMS, what we're looking for here, we've got a little white triangle here, and if I hover over it, and I'm going to zoom in actually so that you guys can see this clearly, you'll see that it goes blue, and if I click that triangle, it drops down a number of subpages. So this is a bit like Windows Explorer, and you can have as many folders underneath each folder as you need. And you can see we've got the homepage content. So if you are using our website, CMS, then you will be using all of these pages that you can see here. But for me now, I'm only interested in the blue worlds. And what I've done is we've got location is Nottingham, which is where this property is located. And to create that location, all I did was right click onto home and select create. So what you'll find, if you've just migrated to us, we would have imported all of your properties, we would have imported all of your locations. However, if you win a new property in a new location, you're going to have to learn how to create a new sublocation. So for example, if I come away from here, in the test data that we provide within our system, we had destinations, and then we've got 3 countries here. If I right clicked onto destination, select create, I can then do a new country. So I type in Portugal, click create, and I then have a new location. You'll see it's grayed out to begin with, so it's not live. It's there in draft mode at the moment. And if I then come into here and put a page title in and a meta description and click save and publish, that then makes it a live location. So it's very easy to add into here. Now, if I go back to my listing, I can see that this location is in Ruddington in Nottingham. So I'm going to right click onto Nottingham, click create, and I'm going to do Ruddington here. Click create. And now this client is going to use our website system as well. So ideally, we could actually do some SEO here. So cottages in Rudd, and I'm from Bass Housing. Okay, so I'm just going to put that in, and they've actually got three cottages. So it's not perfect, but it's some good content to go in there for now. So I'm going to save and publish it. And what I'm going to do with this client now is I'm going to unpublish this. One thing I just need to do. Right click, select create, and I'm going to go to property. And he's called this apartment Greystones. So we're going to call it Greystones. And we're going to click create. So the important thing here is that I've chosen property. And that will allow me to now put all the property information in. You can see that we still got location as an option, which basically means we can have many sub-locations. So we could do the whole world, then we could do Europe, then we could do Spain, then we could do Costa del Sol, then we could do Marbella. And you can go down as many sub-levels as you wish. Property is obviously what we're going to do now. Property language variant, for those of you who want to market to different nationalities, you can create a property language variant example of the property, which will link in with the rates and the availability. So I have the same calendar, the same rates, the same attributes, but you can put in the professionally translated content for that property. This will expand within our platform to allow you to do fully multilingual websites. So you can have a Spanish version, a German version, an English version, and a Portuguese version, Russian, Swedish, etc. Whatever language you want, you can put within iPro. Also, the emails are also translated. And what will then happen with our automated communication is based on the language of the guest, we will send the correct communication to them. So whether they're Spanish, they'll get the Spanish version. But for now, we're only going into the basics. So we're going to do the property, and I click create. And we now have our first property being added to the system. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come away from here, because yesterday we uploaded our media. And if I come into property images, you'll see that I've got Greystones and I've got the bagels here. I actually did the images the other way around, so I renamed these when I was downloading them. But here's all my images ready to add to the property. And if I click onto Greystones, I have all the images for this one ready as well. So the images are prepped and ready to go. Now I can come into here. I'm going to move this one onto the other screen just so that we can see things easier, and you'll see me looking across to the other screen so that I can easily grab the relevant information and populate it as I'm going through. So let's make this a bit bigger now. Okay. So as this website is not live, I don't need to worry about this at the moment, but I'm just going to explain each of these settings as we go through. So the first one is disable online booking. What that means is you can have properties within iPro that you do not allow instant book. Maybe the owner doesn't keep their availability up to date. Maybe you're using a third party for that particular property. Maybe the owner is extremely difficult to work with, and they don't update their availability. They don't tell you when they're coming out. They don't tell you when they've lent it to family, etc. So if that's the case, if you turn that on, this property will only be available for requests only. You will not be able to instant book. So that's one thing. Hide on website. We have some clients who have very exclusive properties, and they do not want the properties to be showcased on the website. If you put it as hide on website, disable online booking, you'll then be able to send this as an option to your guests, but they will not be able to find it on the website. So this is your off portfolio option. Means that you can, again, if you were struggling for availability, you could actually go and source properties from what are your competitors, and you can collaborate with them. You can put their properties on. You don't need to add them to your website, but you can offer them to your guests. And if they book, you can assign the booking, and it becomes a normal property within your portfolio, but it's just not available on your website. So the next two options we have, suspended. Suspended means that we've got an issue with the property, but we have got future bookings. So what we want to do is we don't want to remove it from the website, but we do want to flag it to our reservations team and our customer services team so that they do not take any new bookings until we are happy that the owner or the property is suitable for future bookings. So it's kind of a temporary pause without upsetting or worrying future guests who have booked previously. Withdrawn is what we use when we actually have now lost the property and it has been removed from the portfolio. It's got no active bookings left, and it has got no, you don't want to take any more future bookings. Withdrawn is what we use. You don't ever want to delete a property that you stop working with, because then you'll lose all your booking history and all your guest history. So withdrawn is what you use once that contract has come to an end and has not been renewed. So a new feature that we have is the brands. We talked about this this yesterday, and one of the clients that use this is is on today, which is Tuscan Retreats. So they will have 3 brands: Tuscan Retreats, Tuscany Plus, and Houses in Tuscany, I think it is. So when you actually load the property on, you set which brand that property belongs to. So this is only a 1 brand, so we're just going to do Bass Housing, but this is how you allocate each property to the correct brand, and therefore you can produce your reports based on that individual brand. The one thing I haven't got to hand is the owner details for this one, so I'm just going to assign it to our default owner. However, what I could do is create new, and I could just add a new owner. So what I'm going to do is I'll do And I'm just going to put a dash in for now on these particular details. And then click save. So that will actually create the owner and allocate it to the property at the same time. Assign contacts. We've got some default examples in here. So you could put the gardener in, for example. And we could put in the cleaners or the housekeeper or any maintenance people. One thing I need to do just before I continue, actually, I'm just going to populate the SEO, and I should have done this first, so too keen to get onto the switches, but I'm just going to put this bit of information in here. And the reason I'm doing this is because I need to save and publish it, first of all, so that it loads into the CMS, and therefore all of the changes that I've got are going to be locked into a live property. So otherwise it'll warn me that I'm trying to save it against an unsaved property. So I've got Pedro, have I got a housekeeper in here? Okay, so I've got Hannah the cleaner, so I can add her to the system as well. Okay, and if I tick these two boxes here, that means they will get alerts for this property, depending on what we have set up. So I don't know what alerts yet, but I'm just telling the system that yes, I want these two contacts to be part of any automated workflows that I set up that is related to this property and to them. If I untick this and I set up an email that goes in my automated workflows down here, if I don't tick those options and I set up a rule that says guests are arriving and I want it to go to the housekeeper, but I don't allow the emails to go through here, this particular property will not get a notification. So Hannah will not get notified about any bookings for this property because I haven't allowed it here. So it's really important that you know that's how you sort of master stop emails for that particular person. This one, on the other hand, is just a complete override, and it says every time there's a booking, I want to send this specific email to this person every time there's a booking on this property, irrelevant of whether or not it's a provisional booking or a fully paid booking. It will send the email that I've just selected. So I would use this feature sparingly, and just be very clear that it will always send whenever a booking comes onto this property. Does anyone have any questions in that section? Because it's quite important. If you get this set up incorrectly at the beginning, you'll then be sending support tickets through to say, why has this client got this email, or why has this client not got this email? Okay, so everyone's clear on that. If you haven't, one thing that you do need to do, so we haven't allowed you to add a contact here for the assigned contact. So if you are, you should have done that as part of the previous section. So adding contacts here, you would add all your suppliers in so that they are available on this drop down list when you start typing their name. So if I come into my contacts at the moment, suppliers, so I've also got Gary that I could add in as well. So let's go and add Gary in, and he takes care of all of my guests for this property. So I'll add him in as well as an assigned person. So the next thing we can do is set the property reference. It defaults to the next available number. So if you leave it blank, it will put the next available number in. If you wanted to follow a particular format, so for example 1001, the next one will be 1002, 1003, etc. If we've imported your properties, then we would have used whatever reference number you had before, and they will be sequential from there. So I'll just leave this as 5. Do we have an external website for this particular property? In this example, we don't. And the next thing is the H1 title. So this will be the title that we display on the property page and the property results. So this is what they have on Airbnb. For couples or business travelers, I'm probably not going to use that. So maybe I'll put that in my introduction here. I know it's a 1-bedroom property. So I'm just going to put in here 1-bedroom apartment in. Okay, so I'm going to put it in as a keyword search phrase. So if anyone searches on that phrase, for example, then I would want this particular property to appear. So introduction, I'm just going to copy that straight across. That's so introduction, depending on how you've got your system set up, that is going to appear in the search results and also above the fold on the property page. So for example, let's go on to one of these properties. So you can see here above the fold, we've got the description. That's our introduction description. And then if we click read more, it brings through the rest of the content. You know, people nowadays are looking less and less for content, but content is still the #1 thing for getting good traffic to your website. So people are more interested in the facilities, the videos, etc. So making it as easy as possible for them to get to that information. And if you have got someone who likes to read, then they do have access to it very easily by clicking the read more button. So that's kind of how we separate it out. Also, this would be on the search results as well. So the next section we've got is the main description. So I'm just going to copy in what they have off their Airbnb. We can tidy this up. For those of you who are more advanced with knowing how to use HTML, etc., this one is not HTML, so it's just text, whereas this one is HTML. So you can come into here and you can tidy this up. So I'm just going to get rid of these extra divs here. I should have copied and pasted it with no formatting actually. So let me just do that again. So let me take that out. You'll see that there's nothing there now. So this time I'm going to do the paste from Word. So I click on the yellow folder and then I'm going to copy into there. And what this will do, it will remove all of the formatting from the text. So now I have a nice simple, nice clean text. There's none of those divs around there, etc. And what I can do, I do have the ability to select the heading types here if I want them to stand out. So if I wanted that to be a heading 2, for example, I can highlight it and select heading 2 from the drop down, and that will come through different on the website than the others. If I wanted to link anything through, so for example, we've got Nottingham here. What I can do is click onto the link button and I can actually link that through to my Nottingham page. And if I want to change the title, I can actually write a title here to be able to link that back across. So internal linking is very strong from an SEO perspective. So we do have a bit more information than what's available on Airbnb. So a couple of boxes that we've got here that you can take advantage of are the pros, so the highlights of the property. I see people using this in a variety of ways. So some people like to list, you know, the best bits, so the highlights of the property. Some people like to use it as a why we chose this property, you know, why we added it to our portfolio, and you know whether or not we say sort of Andy's words, why I like this property. You can decide how you want to use that and where you want to display it on your own website. And then the cons would be what you have to watch out for. You know, so is this suitable for? So for example, this particular property, if I just bring it across, they've actually highlighted straight away that it's for couples and for business travelers. So either one person or two people, but at the same time, they do provide a cot. If I can find where I'm going, where's my amenities gone? Let me click it on the top bar. So amenities here, couldn't see it, show all amenities, but at the same time, they have provided a cot and a high chair. So the cons of this, or what to watch out for, is really we wouldn't be recommending any children over the age of 2, for example, because there's only one bedroom and they have got room for a cot or a high chair, but if they're over 2, they're not really going to want to fit into a travel cot. So that would be possibly one of the things that you could put in the cons here. We also have build size, plot size, and we have the property license. So property license now, everything is becoming more legislation in place. Touristic licenses are available, and they have to be shown on your website. So if you do have to do that and you have that data, you can put it into here, and you can also track when it expires as well. The other option that you have is if you don't have a rolling contract with your owners, which I recommend that you should do. You know, if you can have an annual rolling contract, that if they don't cancel within 30 days, then it automatically assumes that they're rolling on again. You can track the statuses here. We also have the ability to put in virtual tours. That can be both sort of recorded videos, or you could use something like Matterport, and then you can put the embed code into this box here. So you can do both. And I think on this example here, I'm actually using a YouTube video. So that's just a YouTube video that we've put in, and that would just be the URL of the video. So in fact, I can show you that one. So if we go to Frying Pan Cottage. Okay, so you can see that we just put the embed code in here for YouTube. So if I go onto YouTube, because nowadays you can do a sort of a nice walk around. So if we just do, let's do Cornwall Cottage. And you'll see what other people have done here. So Forever Cornwall have done one here for their property. And if I click onto share and click onto embeds, you can take that code there and you can place that straight into iPro. So if I copy that, I won't keep this, but if I just put that straight into there, that would then play on my property page. So that's a really nice and simple way of doing it. You guys can just go out and you can do, you know, a nice walk around of the property, so you can give people an insight into what you like about the property, what you think is special, why you added it to your portfolio. So not only do they get a walk around, they get a feel for what, as I say, for your thoughts and opinions, a bit of your personality. So yeah, I think that's a great little tool. And we can easily have both a walkthrough video that you've done yourself and a professional Matterport video where people can, you know, move around the room and sort of do the 3D tour and turn around and so forth. So you can do both quite happily. Property telephone number, if you do have phones in the properties and you need the phone numbers, then you have the ability to save it there. So any questions sort of on the first tab? Relatively straightforward text fields. So if we move on to our rates and notes. Most important thing at the top here is the currency. So you select the currency of the property. We have the ability to manage currencies in the system. So you might have a base currency, and I would tend to set the base currency as what the owner wants to be paid in. So if you've given owners the flexibility on the currency that they're going to be paid in, then you can actually price the base the base price in their currency, so that you're not governed by the fluctuations on the exchange rates. It will be the guest who's paying will have to deal with the exchange rate variances. But if you are running your business through a sterling account, and it doesn't matter if an owner is international and you pay them by sterling, then of course you should always set your base rate as sterling in that particular example. Now, I'm going to come back to warnings. I will just give you a brief overview of what it is. This is where we can flag up any important booking notes that must be validated before each booking. So, for example, in this property, I might say, okay, I'm not going to put any dates on it because it's a global one. Do I want anyone in my reservation team to validate it, that they've confirmed that the child is under the age of 2? I would tick this box. Do I want it to be visible on the website? So the guest actually has to validate it before they book. I could say yes, and then I can add it into my system. So this warning will pop up before every booking now, and whoever is processing the booking will have to validate that they are happy to proceed with the booking on that basis. You can use this for building as well, so that's why we've got the date there. We can say that there's building work going on between this period. Are you happy to still continue? We can put a warning on to say that something new is coming into the property from this date, so it might not be advertised on the website yet, but if they're booking for August next year, we can say, oh, by the way, there will be a hot tub then, and this is what you can do. This is the extra cost, or whatever it may be. You could have a warning like that. So on tomorrow's session, we're going to do some warnings, and we're going to show you how that impacts on the bookings before proceeding. So the next section is all the rates, and this is all next tomorrow's session. So tomorrow we're going to go through all of this customization here, and how you can configure the rates within iPro. An upgrade, no, all of this is available. If you haven't got it on, if you haven't got that option on your system, we just simply need to activate it. So just reach out and we'll get that activated onto your system. Okay, so the next thing we've got is our property extras. So what I've done is I've gone and added some extras onto this property. So I'm going to add my service fee. I'm going to add my damage waiver, and I'm going to add my cancellation protection fee, and I'm going to add pets for this property, and I'm going to add my travel cot, and I'm going to add my high chair. So I've added all the extras available to this particular property. And what I've done, just following on from yesterday's session, I've set up some different rules. So my service fee is a flat £35 per booking, and I've included it in my list price, so it will not show as an extra to the guest. If the booking is £1,000, they will see £1,035. My damage waiver, I've actually charged at £15 per person. So I want £15 if one person comes, and if 2 people come, I want £30. My cancellation protection fee, I'm doing this as an internal one at the moment. I'm not using an external company. We actually integrate with Booking Protect, so you would be able to use a full insurance against this if you wish to. However, if you wanted to manage it yourself, I've based it on 6% of the holiday price. So if the price is £100, it will be £6 for the protection fee. And again, the idea is here that we're just going to manage this ourselves. We're going to build up enough money so that if people do cancel, and it may be that we still put a rule in place that says you cannot cancel within 14 days of arrival, for example, but up to 14 days, we'll give you a full refund. You're then limiting your risk. And if people do cancel outside of that 14 days, you've got the ability to rebook it, but you're also building up this pot of money that will allow you to pay out for those cancellations. So that's what I've added in as an example. I've also added in my pets, and what I've done with the pets is I've actually got £50 for the first dog, and I've got £25 for the second dog. And then my travel cot and high chair are free, complimentary things, but you have to request them at the time of booking. Okay. So that's how we add the extras. Very simple. If I didn't want to add anything to this, so if I said pets was not available, I can simply click the delete button and it's removed. If I've accidentally done it, I can actually add it straight back again. So that's nice and simple. We then have our minimum night supplement rule. So this is how you manage short breaks. And people have various options here and various requirements, and also this will depend on how you're going to price your property. So as an example, we use again, I'll talk about it a little bit because I think it's applicable in terms of the pricing for tomorrow. So we integrate with Price Labs. I think that's going to be interesting when the lockdown completes, how we price for the very short term and how we price for the longer term. You know, using dynamic pricing could be very effective for you, but also you need to consider how that impacts your offer. So you know, they're going to give you nightly prices back. So Monday will be £100, Tuesday will be £110 per night, then it's £107 for Wednesday, etc. So it's very, very specific. It may make the weekly prices too expensive, but we can do some discounts here. But also, this short break supplement allows us very quickly, if we tend to price on a weekly basis, allow short breaks, but lock in how much money we're going to earn. So what I've done as an example here, if I come into my short break supplements and I've done a global rule, let me just save what we've done here. I've actually set the one night price up to be the same price as 3 nights, so 80% of the weekly price. What that allows me to do is be less specific about a minimum stay. I could actually allow one night stays quite happily, knowing that we're going to get 80% of the weekly rental income on that one night booking. So by using these rules, you can allow people to book to their needs, but you can set a price that is suitable for your business model. So I think that is you know, very flexible from that point of view. The only thing that we would need to consider now with the current changes is the fact that can you turn your property around within the within 24 hours, or are you better off going for 2 night bookings and having a blocker day at the end, because the cleaning now is going to have to be more detailed than before. And again, this is probably what you want to showcase to your clients now. So length of stay pricing, we're going to go into detail tomorrow. And what I would probably say about length of stay pricing, because it's not that new, but how we're using it is relatively new, would be to look at, we will be extending it and improving how easy it is to update the length of stay pricing. So global rule, this means that I'm going to allow short breaks, but a one night booking will be the same price as a 3 night booking. A 3 night booking will be 80% of the weekly price, and it scales up as we go up, and 6 nights is 100% of the weekly price. Because I've just set the default owner commission, I'm going to just put 20% in here. I'm not going to do a security deposit, so I'm going to leave that blank. The security deposit, if I put that in, we would then request a security deposit, which would have to be refunded at the end of the stay, and it would create additional administration work for us. From my perspective, the least amount of admin work that you can do, the more effective you can be at communicating with your guests, working with your owners, etc. And that's really where we're trying to take you with iPro, is to automate everything that is mundane. Min rate and max rate, I would say that 9 times out of 10 now you would leave this blank, because it should be getting this information from your pricing table, and it should be automated. If you use these fields here, you have to manually keep it up to date. So every year you have to go into every property and reset your minimum maximum rate. So I know some clients still use it, which is why we haven't removed it, because they like to put a text in there as well. But I would certainly, especially if you've got a lot of properties, I would be staying away from those 2 fields. Hide rates on websites. Some clients have very expensive properties, so they hide the rates, but they keep the rates on for other properties. I think as a whole, most people are moving away from having rates on their website altogether, because it gives, it's too much information, and actually it doesn't allow you to work with dynamic pricing. Okay. So if you have the rates table there, you're actually restricting the flexibility, especially if people take screenshots and then come back. You know, if people are testing you or want to kind of see what you're doing, if you just remove rates altogether now, and it's a real-time pricing, so I put my dates in and I get a price back, you can do whatever you want in the background with the pricing then. So again, I would personally lean away from displaying my rates. I think it is outdated now. I can kind of understand why people like to keep it there for their loyal guests, etc., and people pre-planning. But to be fair, if you put your rates in 2 years in advance, which again is another one of my recommendations, you should have rates in easily 2 years in advance now. People are always going to be able to find the dates, and people are sensible enough to know that if I go in August and I go in November, my prices are going to be different. Hopefully that will make sense. So check-in from, check-in to, check-out time. I like to make things easy for you, but we also have to have flexibility in the system for different people. So if you have consistent check-in and check-out times, and your office is open to a set time for collecting keys, or they can have a key code on the wall, then I would not bother filling out these 3 fields. However, if you vary those times property to property, then you need to fill out these fields, because when you send your arrival details, it will use the data that you have in here so that they know what time they can check in from, what time they have to check out, and if they're arriving late, they have to make alternative arrangements to collect the keys. And this is just a simple drop down. So check in from, so let's do 4 o'clock. The other thing, I mean, I did an interview on this actually, just something to be aware of with COVID-19 and how we now have to adapt. You have to be honest with yourselves. Sorry, checkout time, I've done that the wrong way around. So that's 10 o'clock and that one is 11 o'clock. Is 4 o'clock, or is 10 o'clock till 4 o'clock, 6 hours, a reasonable time to allow you to clean that property from top to bottom, and for things like carpets and sofas to have dried in time for that guest? That's in itself is probably going to be the biggest impact now. If as they say, COVID-19 is going to be around for 18 months. It's just that we're going to be able to handle it better. One guest leaves, has sat on the sofa, lied on the carpet, the mattresses, etc. How much time do you need to get that property cleaned thoroughly and effectively? That's probably one thing that you guys are going to have to look at, and really kind of see how you're going to manage that. Okay, no questions on there, so I shall move on. We then have the rental notes title and rental notes. So if I come into a property, you'll see that I have a whole host of information on this particular property, with all the different services that we offer. Lots of information's been added. You can add whatever information you want, and I'm just going to have a look what oh, here it is, I've lost it. Let's close this down. So house rules. So we've got all these rules here, and we've got some cancellation there, doing a 48-hour cancellation. That may be slightly different. Check-in is from 3 o'clock and checkout time is 10 o'clock. So let me go back and correct what I've done there. Okay, so tidy that in from the copy and paste. And I'll put that in bold so it matches the one above. The other thing to point out on this one, they have got a self-check-in, so I'm just going to add that at the bottom as well there. So there's my rental notes. I'm not going to bother putting a title on this one because we'll actually have the title on the website already. And I'm going to put in this one here, free cancellation for 48 hours, and I'll put that in bold as well. So that's my house rules being put in. Rental notes title 1 and rental notes 1 just means that we've got additional information that we can put in, and we can display that in different sections. So really all it is just allowing you to section your content out and put it in different places on your website. So even when you're using our API, we have each of those fields is a separate field, which means your web developer can put the content in any place that you want it to be. Internal rental notes is any important information that you need to know internally if you book this property. So let's say, for example, you get a booking for this property and the owner just wants a phone call for every booking, and they want to know who the guests are, how many people have come in, have they booked with you before, for example. So they like a courtesy call for every booking in their property. You would put a note here that says, call the owner for every booking. Okay, so you put that in. Whenever you do a booking, that will also flag up on the system, and it will create a prompt for the reservations team to action. It's only going to be visible internally. That data doesn't go external at all from the system. Okay, so we also have directions, which I don't have to hand for this property. Again, this can be HTML. The other thing that you can do here, which I think is really important, I'm going to go and grab some data off another system here, actually, just so that you can see what is possible within this section to make it as easy as possible for your guests to have the right information. Okay, so I'm just going to put some HTML into here, and what you'll now see is I've got a button. So when we send this through to them, they'll be able to click that button and get a link to view all of the essential information for that property, essential information for that location. They'll be able to download the PDF for the directions, for example. I can also put into here a link to Google Maps with the direction link, and I can link that up to the relevant information. So I can highlight it and click the link and just add in whatever the link is. And then we have a click through. So you can treat this like you would any web page, really. And when we send that through, it means that you've got clickable, actionable things that the guests can do, and therefore have all the information that they need. So from a migration perspective, as long as it's in the database, then yes, that should have migrated across. So as long as it is in as content, we should have migrated it across, and we can double check that. So I'll let Jonathan respond to you on that one. Okay, a couple of other things, nice and simple items. Brochure page, probably getting phased out now. I don't imagine many people having physical brochures anymore, but the Wi-Fi code, really important. Having that easily to hand. These 3 fields here, or 4 fields I should say, will all appear in the booking system. So if I come over to here, and go to property list. And click on to the information button. Sorry, not that one, that's my notes. If I click onto the information button, you'll see that Wi-Fi code, key safe code, access code. So if someone rings up and just says, oh, I've arrived at property Greystones and I can't find the Wi-Fi key anywhere, the process would be to type in Greystones, bring up the property, click the I, and they would then give out the Wi-Fi code, whatever the Wi-Fi code is. So it makes it extremely easy for people to get to the data quickly. And it also means that anybody within your team can answer those questions, and not just the person who knows that particular property, or the person who wrote the welcome pack for that particular property. Key safe codes, what's the key code to get into the property? Owner's code if they have a locked off part of the property which only you need to get access to, and then office code would be the code for the keys for that property that you've decided to store against. So important information for the security of that particular property. So I'm now going to move on to the availability tab. I've just realized I didn't point this out to begin with, but as we move across, when you're adding a property, you just simply move across the tabs to populate the information. You don't need to save and publish between each tab. It will save the data. If you go away and you can click the save button. That will save all your changes, but it won't be live on the website. It's only when you save and publish, which is this second one, it will actually come live on the website. So availability, we've got the ability to view the bookings that are there. Availability notes, we can do things like assign child properties, which we're not going to go through at the moment, and we've got some advanced features there. I've just noticed one thing that I've forgotten to do on this system, so just bear with me. So I'm just doing, close that down a second. Okay. I will need to update this bit later, so I just need, okay, so the map key is going to lock me down, but in terms of doing a search, I'll just jump over to this system to show you how to do the map. Oh, not that one, sorry. Ah, that's the one. Okay, so really important with the map, you've got these buttons here, plus and minus, so you get your zoom right. If I put the satellite version on, I can then drag and drop it. So I will have to correct this with the client afterwards, but I'm just going to say it's this one here as an example. Now, the most important thing is you'll see that this field here is currently blank. If I click onto the marker, it will come up with use this location. And if I click that now, you'll see the coordinates, but not only the coordinates, this last little bit, 17, is the zoom level that you set. So if I zoom out now and say, well, actually, I want it to be there, I need to click use this location again, and then I'll save 13. So if I save and publish that now, you'll see that I've locked in these coordinates and I've locked in the zoom level of the map as well. So it's really important. You can drag and drop this anywhere you want to go, but to save it, you have to click use this location. Otherwise, these numbers won't change up here. So that's just a really important process to go through, because you'll say, well, I changed the maps and I set the maps, but it puts me in the ocean somewhere, in the Pacific Ocean. And it's because you haven't done use this location. So really important. The next thing that we've got is the internal property name. I've actually just used the same here. The owner may know your property as something else, so you may have a different name. If you want to advertise someone else's property and they say it's called the Willows, but it's advertised on many different websites as the Willows, and you want to call it something else, that's how you differentiate. So you can have one name and someone else can have another name. Straightforward address details. So let's just put in here. And then we've got our images and floor plans. So I'm going to go to the Greystones here, and I'm going to go and add all of my images in just by left clicking them. And it looks like the order of my images is probably how I want to do it. Okay, so we've got kitchen, we've got lounge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the lounge up to the top. So as I hover over here, you get the crosshairs. I'm just going to drag that up to the top. And then I'm going to take the next lounge shot and I'm going to drag that up to the top as well. If I don't know what this image is, if I click it, it opens it up in a new tab, and I can see clearly now it's the kitchen overlooking the lounge. So when I come back to here, I'm quite happy that it goes the lounge, then the kitchen. Probably going to do that one before the other one. So change that order around. We've got the lounge, we've got a utility room. So let's go move that across. And then we've got the 3 bedrooms. So I'm now quite happy that we've got a nice walkthrough with my images. So I've got the lovely front garden. So if I click that, we can see we've got a nice big image here on the front garden. And then I've got a walkthrough as we go through the property. I can also add in the floor plans here. And I haven't got any uploaded for this property, but I could just simply click onto there, and if I had the floor plan, let's say that was the floor plan, I would be able to insert it straight into here. And the idea is we've put it into a text box so that you can actually walk people through. So you could say ground floor, you know, and you could actually put a description against this, so you do get a walkthrough on that particular of that particular property. But I'm going to leave this blank for now. Right, we're now onto the attributes, and the attributes will link. So settings on the left hand side, and then property attributes, and you'll see we've got property type. If I drop down, we've got house, cottage, villa, barn conversion, castle, manor house, penthouse, apartment. So I'm going to call this an apartment. It's a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, sleeps 2, and I'm going to say that it allows 1 pet. The theme, I'm going to mark it as quiet. So we've got countryside views. And then in terms of the facilities, let's go back to my amenities here. So these are the facilities that we've got on Airbnb. So I'm going to go through and tick those. There's a couple that I've left off that we haven't actually got. So we've got a fridge, a freezer, a cooker. We've got a dishwasher, toaster, kettle, iron and ironing boards. There's no air conditioning. There is Wi-Fi in the property. We have a large LCD TV. There's no communication, no entertainment listed on here, so I'm not going to tick anything else. We're saying there is travel cot and high chair. Depending on how we do the search, because I've got 4 different things here, it may be that we just use internet as well as like a global catch-all on the search. There is a barbecue, there is a washing machine, there is a hairdryer. and they have got central heating. And the essentials, we've got towels, linen, soap, toilet paper, shower gels. Now, I've added in a couple of extras here as well, which aren't available on Airbnb, but this I've recommended in a blog that I've written about preparing your holiday home for guests. So hand sanitizing gels, antibacterial wipes, and boxer tissue. So again, encouraging people to be hygienic while in the property, and also making them at ease. If they want to feel as if they need to wipe everything down again, they've got the ability to do that. So they have that choice. Airbnb has a nice section on safety features. So I've created a section for that, and I know that this property has got all of those in place. I'm not sure about the walking distances, so I'm going to leave that. And I know in its location that the two nearest airports are Birmingham and East Midlands. One of the things that I left out, let me just go back to here. In the amenity section, we have free parking off street. We have a washing machine, we have iron. Oh, laptop friendly workspace was a good one from Airbnb. So I'm just going to save that now. And we now need to add in a new item. So I'll add it into amenities, and I'll right click onto here, select create, and then I just simply type in the one that I want to add. But because this client is going for corporate travelers, business travelers, that amenity is really important to them. So if I save and publish that, and now if I come back to Greystones, you'll see that in the amenity section, I have my new category, which I can tick for that particular property. So I've now allocated all of my amenities. So I can move on to the next. I'm going to skip booking emails because we'll go through that tomorrow. I would say 9 times out of 10, you don't need to use this tab. However, it is there for that 1 time out of 10 where you want to do something really bespoke for an owner, really unique for that property. You have the ability to do a completely unique set of emails. So onto the distribution tab. And you'll see here that we do have the option to put in various bits of content again, so that we can have different content for the channels compared to your own website, which is best practice for SEO, so that you haven't got duplicate content. But what I'm going to do here is I just want to put this content into my local description here, the location description. So I'm just going to put that in from Airbnb. Okay, we don't need to do anything with the live website URL. We're not going to go through iCals, but all of that information is here. And we've then got our final bit, which is the SEO tab. And I'm just going to do, for this one, I'm actually just going to put in this. And what I'm going to do, that's quite a nice little intro. I'm just going to put that into there. And that is my basic content setup for this property. Before we complete, there are a couple of things to add in. So if we come into our rooms, we've got our 1 bedroom here. So this would be our minimum amount of content that we have to create. So we've got the master bedroom. We can put a description in here. Then if we go to our amenities, we can then select what bed size is there, bedside tables. Okay, so you can actually put the specific amenities in. Rates and bookings, we don't need to worry about. We only need to worry about the content and the amenities tab. Sleeps as well, we don't need to worry about, because when we select the bed size, that will determine how many people can sleep in that bed. In that bedroom. If you had a, what's the word I'm looking for? You can add in multiple beds, a bunk bed, that was what I was thinking. If you had a bunk bed or if you had a sofa bed, for example, so double sofa bed. So if I put that in, it would say that this bedroom could actually sleep 4. And I can remove that one by clicking to the side. So that's bedroom 1. If I wanted to add in a bathroom, I can add in the bathroom as well. And then I can put in the amenities. So we've got the toiletries, we've got the toilet, we've got the shower, we've got the sink, the wash basin, etc. And you can put a description in there as well. You can do the same for the kitchen. You can do the same for the lounge. So you can actually configure this to quite a lot of detail. So some channels need this more than others. We have the ability to bring this content onto your website as well. At the moment, it's not available via, oh, sorry, no, it is available via our API. So again, all of this information can be displayed on your website if you're using your own website platform. So I'm just going to put the bedroom and the bathroom in on this example. And then if I go into my distances, this is where I can now set in distances and time to various different things. So I'll just add one example. I'm going to write East Midlands Airport. Okay, so it's the airport. We'll do it in time. I think it's only 30 minutes, so we'll need to get this amended, but I'll put 30 minutes in there at the moment, and I'll do 30 minutes drive as well, rather than just 30 minutes. So they know that the airport is just 30 minutes away from this particular property. If you're bringing on a property and the owner says, oh, can you put these reviews on, so it gets a boost, you can actually add reviews immediately. So if I click on to add review and open this up, I just need to... just 2 seconds, we'll just need to do something. In terms of the rooms, just to be clear, the only reason you would need to update those is if you're going to use the channel manager. If you're not using the channel manager, the rooms and distances are not compulsory for you to update. And Kat, for your how it works with your website, you don't use that on your website at all. So unless you're putting that property onto the OTA, so Airbnb, Booking.com, etc., you will not need to populate that information. Okay, so it's just updating something there. So if I now click off here and come back onto here, we'll now be able to see the add review page. So I could now add a review very quickly for this. So I can put my 5-star in, I can put my strap line here, and I can put my full review into this box, and I can put the person's name. So Andy Jones, click add review. And I then get my thank you message. And then if I come back into here and right click just to refresh it, you'll see that there's the review. It's come into the system. It's not live. If you notice, it's grayed out. If I save and publish that, it will become active. And now that will display on the front end of the website. If you're using other reviews, then of course you can just plug in those reviews. So one of the things that I would recommend here would be that we would use, like we've just called it Trustpilot. I mean, we should really rename that to anything, to reviews in general, because any review system that you're using, you can have a unique identifier for that particular property. So we would just sync the two together here. So you just put the ID in. If you know FIFO was 1, 2, 3, 4 for this property, you add it into there, and then that will keep your reviews in sync on the website. Okay. So for me, on the basics of getting your property ready to be booked, that is covering everything in this session. I now have a property that is pretty much ready to go. I'm going to zoom back out again because I'm quite zoomed in at the moment. I'm just going to, because I think I've got quite good images, I'm just going to put this to the TBS1. I'm going to just change the layout. If you're using our websites, we have these different designs that you can pick between. Some people like to use two. If they've got bad quality images, they'll use the one that's on here now, so that you've got the square image here. But if you've got good quality images, you can go for the full width option, which is what I've done here, and you get that kind of nice wow effect across the top. So here's my property, one bedroom apartment in Reddington, Nottingham. It's 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, sleeps 2. I've got the description, I've got the amenities, I've got my rental rates, which is just going to be the rental notes actually. I've got the calendar, the availability calendar, and I've got my location map. And I can zoom in, or I can change it to satellite. So nice and simple. I haven't got any rates yet, so if I put some dates in here, it's going to tell me no rates available, and I can inquire instead. And there's my full content come through, and you'll notice that we've got that little link there as well. So for today's session, or this session today, we now have our property ready to go, and we can start looking at the pricing strategy. In terms of transferring over reviews, yeah, you can do, it's just content. So as long as you've got the time to go through and do it, you can transfer all of your reviews over to the iPro system. So please, I'm going to open the floor to questions now. Put your Q&As in. Let me know how you're getting on. Anything that was missed on property attributes, etc. Anything that you're not sure about. And while you're thinking of your questions, I'm just going to launch today's poll. Oh, I haven't got a poll. Separate guide just on reviews. Yes, there should be. Jonathan will drop that through to you now. What we're doing off the back of these training sessions as well, there will be mini guides on each of the section with little mini videos, just showing you some best practice and how to action it. Just on the reviews as well, you will get a review will come through on your logs here. So if you open up our reviews to your website, you will get the reviews coming through here, and you can see that I've got the review here, and I would change it to approved, and I can also add in my own response back, and that will also show on the website as well. So just while I'm doing this, have a play, see if they have a look at your CMS, see what you can add, go through each of the tabs, make sure you're happy and familiar with it. Okay, so I've just launched the feedback poll now. If you can respond to that, if there's no further questions, we shall break now, and we will meet again at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock, and hopefully we'll go through the second part of the training session within 60 to 90 minutes. So we'll have a quick comfort break, and hopefully you'll be able to meet us again. I appreciate it's quite a lot to go through on the property listing one, but hopefully you guys are always going to be adding new properties to your portfolio and amending what you're doing. So Polly, just to answer your question, in terms of the reviews, for properties, because properties are imported, so yeah, I don't believe if the reviews aren't there, I'm pretty sure that we're not importing the reviews. I believe we have got the ability to report reviews, but yes, I'm thinking that they're not in your system. So you will need to just add the ones that you want to add into the properties. Okay, right, I'm going to stop the meeting there. So thank you very much, and hopefully you guys can make it for the second part.